The difference that you have now is the internet. You have the internet, and quite honestly, you have the president of the United States that has felonies.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real life. Street Starz. You know what time it is.
So now he gets off, right? Let's just say they set him free, right? They say time served. Does he become better or does he become worse from this?
This is what, if I was his life coach, this is what I tell him. You got two phases of your life that you need to work on. The first one is you need to get counseling. You need to get some help. You need to get some help. And if you want a career, if you want to continue in this industry, you need to find help and you need to find your redemption story. Second phase, I'm going to tell you, is you need to use the first one to fend off people to protect your assets from all these lawsuits that you got coming. Because you got to remember, it's like 1 million people filed a lawsuit against them, right? And so the feds just didn't decide to use those individuals in this case. So, I mean, he needs to work on those two phases, and he probably needs to get some help with his sexual
Deviancy.
I'm not gonna say deviance, right? Because if that's your thing, as long as you're not beating people and hurting people and things of that nature, man, that's your bag. I mean, there are relationships called thruples for a reason. And so, as long as you're not hurting one, but he does need to find someone to help him kick that addiction or that need to make it so, to put so much excitement in it that it becomes illegal.
Why do you think we didn't see Young Miami come into play? I thought that was going to be
a more interesting thing.
That was more interesting. We really thought we was going to see her come into play.
The last one.
I'm happy she didn't. I'm happy, man, because, you know, I've had the pleasure of meeting that young woman, and man, she didn't need that in her life.
Definitely didn't.
She didn't need that in her life.
I thought they was just going to destroy her just innocent bystander.
No,
like.
she didn't need that in her life, man. She seems like she's good people. She seemed like she might have been kind of into whatever he might have been into. We don't know at what level she might have been interested in, but I do know that the time that he was on her show, there were some innuendos out there that were kind of interesting.
Did you not see when she basically talked to the Gina girl, right? And it was like, me and Puff had you on knees, da-da-da-da. Wouldn't that have led to being like, yeah, you kind of sex trapped? Like, I'm saying, it just, some of the things that she said out of her mouth seemed like it would have led maybe to help the Rico case a little bit, no?
Bruh.
The Rico was kind of crazy to try to put on somebody, though. I ain't gonna lie.
It was, but they swung for the fences, right?
That's crazy.
Like if you had one fight that you can have that was a professional fight and you had an opportunity to make money at it based on television sales, are you gonna fight me or Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson, I'm gonna get knocked out.
Exactly. Exactly. You're gonna take that risk because the reward is there.
I'm starting to think they don't have with the 97% conviction rate.
Yeah, this ain't the feds that I knew back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, it's a difference.
Fell off.
He said they fell off. That's not it.
The difference that you have now is the internet. You have the internet, and quite honestly, you have the president of the United States that has felonies, who has his whole mantra is he was wrongly convicted and prosecuted. And you have stories of exoneration. And so you have now more information out there that law enforcement gets it wrong. That gives people a more sense of, you know what, I have reasonable doubt. Like I told you before, I got involved in the criminal justice system. My brother got arrested. And it was the wildest thing. This dude spent almost 3 months in jail in Texas for a crime in Arizona he didn't commit.
Yeah.
And so that showed me that, hey, it's something inherently wrong with this process.
What do you say to the people like Funkmaster Flex just made a post, right? And there's other people making a post now kind of aiming at Cassie saying, hey, man, you kind of try to hit a lick. You got 30. You went in there. You're trying to railroad him. Now you wrote a letter basically saying don't give him bond. Now he don't get bond. What do you say to the people that are now starting to aim at Cassie?
Man, let that woman be. I mean, let that woman be. I mean, we're not her, first of all. And she's still someone's child.
Thanks.
And if I'm her brother, I'm taking offense and I'm flexing, right? And so let her be. She went through enough. She just had her child. Okay, she got money. But saying that is no different than telling a basketball player to shut up and dribble. You don't need to have an opinion. You shouldn't be doing this. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. Shut up and just play your game. That's like telling her, you got $30 million. Shut up, you got $30 million. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not her. I don't know how she feels and what she's gone through, but she went through enough that she sued him, and she got publicly roasted for that when she took the money. And then on top of that, she was on a stand where she got crossed,
Right.
and basically was made to feel or told, nah, you are a gold digger. The woman has been through enough, and she got to go home to her family. Let this woman be, man.
She got on this thing pregnant.
Exactly. She was pregnant and had a baby before the trial was over. She had a third child before the trial was over. Let this woman be, man. You know, this dude, he got what could be considered the best outcome from this trial other than a straight acquittal, right? Nobody won in this. Nobody won. So, you know, I know this is for entertainment purposes and people want to hear crazy things, but man, look, you spend enough time with someone who has been through something, you know how rough this can be. Right. You know, and I know I've seen it way too much and seen it way too early firsthand of how this affects people who have had this happen to them. Let's talk about this judge.
Let's talk about this judge.
Let's talk about this judge. What is he gonna do?
Yeah.
So during the trial, at one point, he told the prosecution, hey, counselor, if they ask for it right now, I'm paraphrasing. He kind of gave the impression, if they ask for it right now, I'll give them a directed verdict. You guys haven't really shown me that there's RICO.
The judge said that.
Judge said that. Judge said that. He had questions like, okay, where's the RICO? And the prosecution like, we're getting to it. We'll get to it. We'll show you. That led a lot of people to believe that the judge could potentially give Combs a bail. It's like, hey man, y'all overreached, you know, you punched out of your league. I'm not gonna keep this man in jail any longer. He's not a flight risk, right? According to the statute that I could potentially give him 2 years or give him probation and cut him loose, right? Or I can give him 10 or 20. I have a wide range, but I'm gonna cut him loose because he ain't running nowhere, because he ain't got to worry about life.
Right.
Because of that, a lot of people thought that he would get bail. The fact that this judge didn't give bail, the fact that this judge brought up the fact that he was violent, now has a lot of people on their heels saying, okay, first time offender, is he gonna really go with that? Or is he gonna go with the fact that he might be a first time offender, but this dude is a career criminal? Because this isn't someone who's just going to decide based on the verdict. This is someone who's been in every conversation there has been about this trial. He knows things that all of us will never know because he had discussions in chambers. Remember, there was evidence that he kept out, but he knows about it. Everything is up for grabs for him in making this decision. Does he do what the prosecution wants, which is to stack the 10-year sentences? That gives him 20 years. Does he run them concurrent? Does he run them simultaneously together and give him 10 years? Does he look at the code and says, you know what, first time offender?
I mean, that would be ludicrous to give him a 20 ball, wouldn't it?
It can happen.
I know it could happen, but wouldn't it just...
You can give him a 20 piece.
Told you, these judges can.
So let me ask you this: there's mad people that have stuff to say about Diddy, right? Like we've seen, hell, Jag, we've seen big homies come up here and say, Gene Deal. When you don't see them on the stand, why would they not be on the stand? Like if they have these interviews out saying some of these things, why would they not be on the stand? If they could help the prosecution. Okay, there it is.
Look here, man. If I have a choice to put someone on stand that may have a history or may cause more confusion, because you got to remember, everybody that they put on that stand was pretty credible, right? It wasn't the defense. When I say that, the defense didn't come back and pop up pictures and say, well, you said this on, on Real Life Street Stars. I ain't gonna say no other podcast. Yeah. Or you said this on Tailor Made Conversations. Right. When you was on Tailor Made Conversations, you wore a suit and you said this. When you was on Real Life Street Stars, you had a hat on and you said this. Which one is it? Or they didn't have crimes of moral turpitude. So crimes of moral turpitude can be used against you if you go up to testify. And so, if they stole anything, domestic violence, any of those things that are considered crimes of moral turpitude. And so if you have individuals that have those type of convictions, then you can't use them.
It makes sense. But Gene Deal was the bodyguard. So that's why it's like, he was a bodyguard for him.
Bodyguards, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I've traveled and I got one big homie, my little brother, Marvelous Marvin in Miami. Whenever I go somewhere, he travels with me, right? So he got my back. So shout out to Marv. I got another dude. I know this dude been on papers before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know he is no stranger to conflict. Sometimes you had them type of dudes with you. So I don't know about your guy. I don't know if he has paper. He's ever been on papers, if he ever been arrested. I mean, he could have had a small case, like a check writing case. Right. That's still a crime of moral turpitude.
That's crazy, man. It's just because, like, when you hear some of the stories on the podcast, it makes him out way more of a monster than the people that actually testified. It didn't seem like they picked the people that can really speak to the monster that he was. You see what I'm saying? Or quote unquote allegedly.
But let's go back. Does that testimony prove RICO? You see what I'm saying?
That's a good question. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. So why would I use them? They've already had a video that showed him kicking a woman who was in a fetal position. He a monster. We got him. If this was a case about him being a monster, he would be right up there with King Kong, Godzilla, Dracula, and Frankenstein. He a monster, right? So for Halloween, everybody's going as Sean Combs, and they're gonna scare the hell out of people. He a monster, but he wasn't on trial for being a monster.
Shout out RealLyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move. Hey.